Greetings, members one and all of the Salivation Nation. This recent Bitcoin news could make or break gold and silver. Let's explore! Bitcoin has certainly been in the news as of late. And we know that gold and silver are in the news as well, but not nearly as much as cryptocurrencies, as they have skyrocketed in price, especially Bitcoin and Dogecoin. And a lot of people have been gravitating to that space, and many people think that that's hurting gold and silver. So I don't think it's going to break gold and silver being involved in the crypto sphere, but one thing is for sure, there's been some recent headlines that I think could have a stronger impact on gold and silver moving forward. Going back a couple of months ago, we did see that Elon Musk had tweeted about Bitcoin in negative light. Many of you remember that tweet and how it had caused Bitcoin to fall fairly dramatically in price. It just goes to show you the speculative nature and kind of the feeling of where some are in terms of Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies. And obviously Elon Musk is a pretty influential tweeter, so to speak. But that is only the beginning. Then we saw other factors come into play with regards to cryptocurrencies, namely ransomware attacks that have been going on for quite some time. And there's a common theme that payments should be made through the untraceable and untrackable cryptocurrencies, and Bitcoin is the most popular of those. Well, it came to a head when some high-profile ransomware cases came to light, namely the pipeline that was shut down because of a ransomware attack that affected the flow of fuel, oil, and through to the East Coast. And that certainly was a dramatic move there, and certainly they got their money by way of Bitcoin, millions of dollars worth. And they thought, well, they would have gotten away with it scot-free. Well, that wasn't the case. And this is coming to the light fairly recently, here how that news had broken, that the feds were able to recover over half of the money that was taken as this ransom for the information that was taken from that attack. So how were they able to get that back? I don't know. I did a little research on it. Couldn't find exactly how they did it. More than likely, it's probably a trade secret. But I believe that is another bad strike against Bitcoin because it's supposed to be decentralized and untraceable. And so therefore, it makes you wonder, and it has some people certainly questioning the nature of what Bitcoin is supposed to be about. This ledger that's cryptic, that is secure, and untrackable, untraceable. Well, I guess that is certainly turning out to not be as untraceable and untrackable as possible. Whereas when you have these metals in your possession, gold and silver, well, once they're in your possession, they are untraceable and untrackable, unless they put a chip in them, which some people still theorize that that's what's going to be in some of the new security features for the gold and silver American Eagles. Many of us have, wondered, well, hey, what's going on here? Especially when you see other applications and other bullion products with these near-field communication devices on them. Some people think that though the near-field communication device itself is not anything that has any kind of tracking in it, some people think that they could hide it in amongst that space, but who knows? Regardless, the actual metals themselves are untraceable and untrackable. Now, any purchases that you make of gold and silver, especially online, well, that stuff is, obviously those transactions leave a paper trail or an electronic trail, most likely. So that's something to keep into consideration there if you are buying online. But regardless, you could always say you sold them to your buddy, or you lost them in an unfortunate boating accident, and that type of thing. There's really no way to tell if you've held on to those metals after you receive them. That's the beauty of gold and silver. So that's that aspect of tracking and tracing, and which means that if they can take that a couple of $1 million away from these criminals in another country, imagine what they can do to your Bitcoin holdings in country if they so desired or wanted to. Apparently, the Feds, the Justice Department, was bragging about this in a press conference, and so that's going to lead people to be fairly nervous about holding Bitcoin because they won't be able to escape taxes potentially down the road. And that brings us to the next bit of recent Bitcoin news. A viewer of mine posted a link to a video that talks about how El Salvador has just adopted Bitcoin as legal tender. And though we heard about China kind of banning it essentially in their country, well, that's not what's happening in El Salvador. And the analysts there believe that that's just the beginning. And Jerome Powell has even talked about how Bitcoin is seen much closer as a store of value or recognized store of value than gold. Of course, that's Jerome Powell we're talking about here. So you take that for a grain of salt or a grain of quantitative easing, so to speak. We all know the truth about gold and about silver. Regardless, there is talk about how it is only a matter of time before Bitcoin becomes a reserve asset like gold. That is some of the speculation out there now in regards to what the status of Bitcoin itself will be among the cryptocurrencies. Keep in mind that we are still sort of, in a sense, in the MySpace era. I know I compare these to social media platforms. MySpace was all the rage, pretty much unstoppable when it was out. Because at the time of its development and use, there were other social media platforms out there, but it was almost unstoppable. Then came along Facebook, which was really developed more towards the college student. That's what its focus was. Well, it's just a matter of time before we could see some other cryptocurrency perhaps come to the forefront. In fact, some people may think that Dogecoin could possibly be one of those that was developed essentially out as a joke. But who knows? Who knows what will transpire there? It's fascinating to think about, and it makes you wonder. It really does, to see how this could either make or break gold and silver. Will people be nervous about these becoming a reserve asset that could either mean that it's something to put your money into, as it's now recognized as what it is, or will it fade away and some other cryptocurrency come into light, or fearful that it could be integrated with national currencies out there. National currencies such as the actual Fed coin, or a CBDC, central bank digital currency. Or perhaps they could just adopt Bitcoin and the blockchain behind it as the basis for a global-based monetary system that will tie into all these other currencies as part of the Great Reset. Either way, I believe it is scary right now to hold Bitcoin, really, in a way, because of these types of scenarios that could derive. The fact that it's possible that the feds could seize your Bitcoin is now a real possibility after these recent news. And that whole nations are adopting and making Bitcoin legal tender means that if it's legal tender, then it can be controlled. And that is what it's all about, folks. Control and adaptable monetary systems. And there's where it is. Whereas, gold and silver cannot be controlled. They are what they are because of what they've been for thousands of years. They have this intrinsic historic value that transcends space and time. And so therefore, I believe in holding on to these metals, and this is why I think it could make gold and silver money again, essentially, as a trackable untraceable, and undeniable for what they are. And, you know, talking about these cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin, you know, this comment section of this video is going to be flooded, is going to be absolutely flooded with these Bitcoin scammers that you see on my channel anyway, and most of our channels. Feel free to report those, but there's going to be an unusual amount because it's been mentioned here in the title, and they're going to flood. And that just goes to show you how many scams there are out there with regard to cryptocurrencies, and especially Bitcoin. That should tell you something. There's a level of complexity, I think, involved in it, and ways that people try to capitalize on it, and that is something that is certainly, because of the very nature of what it is, it's creating all of these scams and ways to take advantage of people. And obviously, it certainly is the case that gold and silver can be, you can take advantage of people with those as well. But once you've verified the physical for what it is, I mean, look at this. This gold coin is what it is. Once you've verified that it is genuine, it's inert. It sits there. It does what it is. It is what it is because of the very nature of what gold is. It doesn't react. It doesn't have an opinion. It just is. And people enjoy it for what it is because they know that it is the real deal, real money. And so therefore we hold on to it. And silver as well. So do not be fooled, but also pay attention to what's going on in the news to see what's going to happen, because to me, there really is no comparison between Bitcoin and gold and silver. The only thing that unifies them is the decentralized nature. In fact, but the thing is as part of this title of this video, this recent news, El Salvador is going to be adopting Bitcoin. It's only a matter of time, and especially when you see someone like Jerome Powell speak very highly of it, well, there you go. Anything that's digital in any form can be manipulated, and can be adopted, can be utilized, can be taken advantage of. It's much harder to do that with physical gold and silver. So there you have it. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. We'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for taking the time to watch, and encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.